Aye. To the contrary, no. The noes have it. Members, we now move to new Part 2A. We have a number of amendments that propose new parts and related new provisions. The first of these is an amendment in the name of Honi Hauera, set out on SOP number 121. This proposes a new Part 2A relating to the review of ages for sale and purchase of alcohol. The Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
I will rise to speak in support of the amendment moved by the Honourable Honi Hauera. I understand that the additional elements. Actually, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order, Honourable.
This would be helpful for me.
Yep.
The other elements of a new Part 2A and Part 7 relating to advertising and sponsorship, they'll be dealt with separately. This is just purely on the amendment moved by the Honourable Hauera in SOP 121.
Correct.
Okay.
We'll move to the others shortly.
That's fine. So, Mr. Chairman, I will speak on that. I am hoping that the Honourable Honi Hauera will himself take a call on his SOP. But I felt that it was important that we get the debate going on this matter, and I felt that I was an appropriate person to speak to it because I voted for the split age in terms of the age issue, which we've just dealt with, and in fact dealt with the last time that we debated the bill. And I want to speak in favour of it, even though I voted for the split age and then ultimately voted to retain the age at 18. And the reason that I want to support this is that it will answer, I believe, one of the concerns that the public have around the age question. What it asks Parliament to do is to amend the Alcohol Reform Bill by inserting provisions for the Ministry of Justice to review the ages for the sale and purchase of alcohol on licensed premises within 5 years of the commencement of the bill. And I think that what the members have been trying to do is to ask Parliament to have a mechanism where there is an automatic review taking place. So there might be a willingness expressed by all parties to review the operation of legislation after a particular period of time. But I believe to have it written into the legislation would actually be a help, and it would help people understand that the Parliament will not let another 12 years go by before the law is reviewed again. And that's because a lot of the public have actually accepted the argument that the age is such a top issue, when I don't believe that any of the evidence presented by the Law Commission and by those that have been advocating for the 5+1 option, I don't believe any of them have put age at the top of the range of measures that need to be taken. And the reason that they haven't put it at the top is that it is effective to a certain extent, but it is not the most effective measure that could be taken, and it certainly doesn't rate in the top 3 of those. But it certainly does warrant the House's ongoing attention. And I think that the public have bought into this issue of the age being so important because it is the only issue in the legislation that has been the subject of a conscience vote on the part of the government. The government has whipped the entire caucus on every other element of the legislation, something that I had hoped that we would get to ourselves, that we were hoping to be able to get rid of the conscience vote. I was the one that actually raised it in the first instance when I was Associate Minister of Justice back in 2008, and it occurred to me that the only year that it is absolutely impossible to get any alcohol reform is election year, and it was because of the conscience vote. The huge amount of pressure that came on people to vote in a particular way. Certainly the community's voice could not match the pressure, really, of big business that was able to, I believe, put a lot of pressure on people in terms of how they voted on particular issues. The age has never been a particular issue for the industry, so that's the one issue that's just not an issue, and I think that's why the government were prepared to give that away. They weren't prepared, I think, to let brand new MPs confront the reality of their constituents who were looking for a lot more from this parliament than what they're getting from this bill. I like the idea of reviewing legislation on a relatively, Mr. Chairman, I like the idea of reviewing legislation on a relatively fixed date. The reason that I say that is because when I was first elected to Parliament, well, it was some years afterwards, 1993, we had the Human Rights Amendment. And the Human Rights Amendment, and I can see Kevin Haig nodding his head sagely because he knows exactly what I'm going to say. The law, and Charles Chauvel is also nodding his head sagely because he knows exactly what he's going to say, what I'm going to say. And that is that the law required the government to go through all of its laws and to actually work out which laws were in conflict with the changes that were made to the Human Rights Act and to the Bill of Rights Act at that time. So there was an obligation on Parliament to do that, on the government, and guess what? They didn't do it. We actually got to the expiry date and it hadn't been done. The expiry date of that particular provision, which exempted the Crown from the new provisions of the Bill of Rights legislation, that exemption had to be extended, I believe, twice until we actually finally got through the statutory references legislation. Now, I believe that the member, Hone Harawira, feels very passionately about this issue of ages. And I know that not every member has the opportunity to put forward a supplementary order paper, but I actually think that we owe it to everyone that supports this to actually debate it and to have a proposal for 5 years, I think is a very sensible one indeed. So I hope that the House will support the bill. I had hoped that the member himself would be able to take a call, and I thought my contributing to the debate in such a reasonable way might have given the member, Hone Harawira, the idea that perhaps he should take a call on this bill, and if that message can get through to his office, I'm sure that will assist the debate. But it is something that I think is important, and sometimes it is important to stand for something. Even though I didn't vote for the measure that he was concerned about, I am perfectly happy to support a measure that says that we review the operation of a decision that's made by this Parliament within a reasonable time frame. We simply cannot allow 12 years to go by and then have somebody else sort of say, well, how come we never had a look at it again? I think if we write it into the law, we actually get the opportunity, well, more than the opportunity, we have an obligation to actually review it and to see whether the concerns that were raised at the time have in fact been addressed. In fact, there's probably other parts of the legislation that we're going to be passing over the next couple of days, or next 3 days, or however long it takes. But I think that what we might find is that there are other parts of this legislation that might also benefit from such an amendment, and I might look at whether we need some additional amendments as we go through the committee stages, as this is an opportunity to do just that. So, I do congratulate the member for bringing the matter to the attention of the House. It is an opportunity for us to talk about whether we have got an opportunity in the future to reflect on decisions that we've made based on the evidence, because the evidence will be available, and I just would like to take the opportunity to completely disagree with everything something that Trevor Mallard said about my very respected colleagues in Christchurch who have done nothing but devote. I am very proud of. I am very proud of Sally Caswell and Doug Salmon and all of the public health people, and they're not self-interested. All they care about is the public health of New Zealand, and we actually should have people who care about the public health of New Zealand, because if there's one thing that's actually diminished under this government, it is health promotion. We might talk about operations and various other things, but health promotion has gone down the drain under this government. They are not playing the leadership position that we ought to be playing in the world. New Zealand led the world on tobacco law reform. We should be leading the world on alcohol law reform as well, and that's what I challenge the House to do with this amendment, Mr Chair.
The Honourable Mary Ann Street.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I rise also to